Hi, this is Andy Graham with the Graham Pedal Hi-Hat System. I'd like to introduce something I call the Grid. It's a practice system designed specially for the Graham pedal. It uses a combination of 6 patterns and 3 foot movements to teach you the foot technique. Each pattern is labeled A through F and consists of 8 squares representing eighth notes. On the right are the symbols for the 3 foot movements. The first one is your standard heel down bass drum stroke. Next, we do the opposite. With your foot down on the pedal, you lift your heel and then drop it onto the pedal. And then we have the combination of both. What you do here is you lift your foot off the ground and then drop it so that your heel and your toe hit at the same time. So that's the basics on how the Grid practice system works. So before we dive into this, I want to mention 2 other things. First, you can do a lot more than just 6 patterns using this system. By splitting the rows in half and then mixing and matching the different letters, you can get a lot more combinations. Second, we've made this graphic available on the website to download and print. Okay, so let's get started. We're going to start out with pattern A. This one is the simplest pattern in the Grid. And as I mentioned before, we're only going to do foot exercises in this video. In later videos, we'll go through the entire system again using the Graham pedal and a cocktail kit, playing along with the backbeat. Okay, pattern A. This one is the simple alternating of the toe and the heel on the quarter note. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, that was pattern A. And even though that was a really simple pattern, you still want to focus on consistency because you're doing a heel and a toe. You want them to come down nice and even and solid, just like with any of these other patterns. Okay, let's move on to pattern B. This one begins and ends like pattern A, except in the middle we have 2 bass drum strokes on the and of 2 and on 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Alright, that was pattern B. Now as we move on to pattern C, you'll notice that the only difference is that we move the 2 bass drum notes in the middle to 3 and the and of 3. What this does is creates an unusual foot stroke that is unique to this pattern. Notice that we have a toe stroke immediately followed by a heel stroke. What this does is it creates a single foot movement where you step on the bass drum pedal, then lift your heel, and then drop your heel, all in one fluid motion. It takes a little bit of practice to get that smooth, so what you might want to do is try that part slowly a few times before you try this pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1. Okay, that was pattern C. Keep practicing that one and it will get smoother and smoother over time. Okay, pattern D. This one has something new going on, which you're going to see in the rest of the patterns too. Notice that the first beat of this pattern is a combination stroke, where you drop your foot down onto the pedal, heel and toe at the same time. What this means is that you're going to be lifting your foot off of the pedal on the and of 4. We're going to go back to a simple quarter note pattern here, and I'll call out the and every time I lift my foot. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 and 1. Okay, pattern D, pretty straightforward. Alright, let's move on to pattern E. Same as before, you're going to lift your heel on the and of 4 and 2 bass drum strokes on the and of 2 and 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 and 1. Okay, now we're going to move on to pattern F. And you'll notice that we move the bass drum to 3 and the and of 3. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 and 1. Alright, so that is all 6 patterns of the grid A through F. And as I mentioned before, you're not limited to just these 6 patterns. You can create what I call hybrid patterns by taking the first part of one pattern and combining it with the second part of another pattern, or vice versa. I'm going to show you 2 of these patterns now. The first of which is to combine 2 patterns to create a simpler pattern, and then I'll combine 2 patterns to create a more complex pattern. This one I call pattern DE. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 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 and 1. That was pattern DE. Now let's move on to the final pattern in this video, EA. What I like about this combination is that it gives you an open hi-hat on the and of 3 and the and of 4. So what I'll do is I'll call out the and in both of those places. And 1, 2, 3, and 4, 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 and 1. Okay, so that is how to use the gram pedal grid practice system. If you work on these patterns regularly, with or without a pedal, it'll give you a nice solid foundation for using the gram pedal hi-hat system. Thanks for watching and keep practicing.